All right, today we're going to crack open a book that's over 2,300 years old, but it holds the secret code to pretty much every story you've ever loved. It's Aristotle's Poetics, and honestly, it might just change the way you see everything, from blockbuster movies to viral memes.
So think about it for a second. What could possibly connect an ancient epic poem like the Odyssey with the latest Marvel movie, or a classic Shakespeare play with some random video that just went viral? I mean, on the surface, they seem like they're from different planets.
Well, way back in ancient Greece, the philosopher Aristotle decided he was going to figure it out. He wasn't just a fan of stories, he wanted to get under the hood, to understand their DNA. He basically approached storytelling like a scientist, trying to find its fundamental laws. And the answer he came up with was, well, it was shockingly simple. He argued that every single form of art, whether it's a painting, a poem, a play, or a movie, is at its core a form of imitation. Now, when Aristotle uses the word imitation, or mimesis in the original Greek, he doesn't just mean making a perfect copy. It's not about taking a photograph, it's about painting a portrait. It's the creative representation of human life, one that's designed to show us some deeper truth. He lays it all out right there at the beginning of the Poetics. All these different art forms, he says, are fundamentally just different ways of imitating. This one single idea is the master key that unlocks his entire philosophy of storytelling.
Okay, so if all art is just imitation, how do we tell all these different stories apart? Well, this is where it gets really cool. Aristotle gives us this brilliant diagnostic kit. 3 key questions we can ask to analyze any work of art. So here's the breakdown. First, you've got the medium. Basically, what's it made of? A poem uses language and rhythm, a song uses harmony. Simple. Second, the objects. Who or what is it about? A superhero movie is about people who are larger than life, while a sitcom is about regular folks. And third, the manner. How is the story being told? A novel has a narrator telling you what's happening, but a play has actors performing it right in front of you. Every single story can be broken down using this simple framework.
Now, let's zoom in on that second dimension for a minute, the objects. Because according to Aristotle, what a story is about is what creates this great divide in all of storytelling.
And this shows that divide perfectly. Tragedy, he says, imitates people who are better than us. You know, think of the noble heroes in a sweeping epic. Comedy, on the other hand, imitates people who are worse than us. Think of the flawed, ridiculous characters in your favorite sitcom. It's a really simple but powerful distinction that completely shapes how we experience a story.
So, we know what art is and how to classify it, but that brings us to maybe the biggest question of all. Why do we even bother? Why do we need stories so badly? Aristotle's answer here takes us right into the heart of the human mind.
Seriously, just think about it. Why do we love stories about sad things or scary things or painful things? On a logical level, it makes absolutely no sense. But Aristotle had a brilliant explanation.
Aristotle points out something really fascinating. He says we actually enjoy looking at extremely realistic depictions of things that would totally horrify us in real life, like dead bodies. So what's up with that? Why are we so drawn to these kinds of images?
And here it is, the brilliant answer. For Aristotle, the joy we get from art isn't about the subject itself, it's about the act of learning. When we see a representation of something, our brain just lights up with recognition. And that aha moment of understanding, well, that's one of the deepest and most lively pleasures we can experience. So for Aristotle, storytelling isn't something we invented. It's just part of our nature. It springs from 2 really basic instincts, our deep-seated drive to imitate things, which is how we learn as kids, and our innate love of music, harmony, and rhythm. Storytelling is literally in our DNA. And from these natural instincts, storytelling basically split off into 2 main paths. According to Aristotle, it all came down to the personality of the writer. The more serious authors, the graver spirits, were drawn to stories about heroes and noble actions, and that led to tragedy. The more lighthearted folks, the trivial sort, focused on the flaws and silliness of ordinary people, and that led to comedy. And in this story, one name stands out above all others: Homer. Aristotle saw him as the absolute master of both styles. With the Iliad, he created the ultimate blueprint for tragedy, and with a now-lost comic poem called the Margites, he pretty much paved the way for all comedy by focusing on silly situations instead of just making fun of people.
Okay, so this is all fascinating ancient theory. But why does any of it actually matter today?
Because Aristotle's framework is so much more than a history lesson. It's a timeless, powerful tool for understanding any story you encounter.
By just asking those 3 simple questions, you can go from being a passive viewer to a really sharp-eyed critic.
So, the next time you're watching a movie or scrolling through your social media feed, give it a try. Use Aristotle's toolkit and just see what you uncover. So, let me ask you, what story will you analyze next?